prep with the guys over here.
Cool. Ravish? Very short.
Okay, yes, I'm probably yeah, sorry. I work as a product manager with Infosys. It's an Indian company. I have been here in US with a client called NR Homes. I'm not sure if some of you would have heard of it. So I'm trying to move to a more tech focused company as well. I'm in the final stages of my interview, but I tried about 7-8 months ago also, and even after studying, I failed a lot. But then I found this group, and I've probably been practicing for about a month or maybe almost a month and a half. And I can tell everybody there is absolutely no substitute for practice apart from reading through any of the blogs. So I would encourage anybody at any stage to just start practicing immediately, and then they will improve much faster. So yeah.
Awesome. Hey, Kevin, just very short intro, what are you doing and your background in what you studied and if you're interviewing. I think Kevin probably has a mic off. That's all right. Let's move on to CJ.
Okay.
Oh, Kevin.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. How are you? Good evening. Well, evening. Well, it's 10 o'clock for me. I'm coming from a physics. We just want some experiences in the financial services. But went out about this position maybe about a year ago, and this is something that I've always wanted to do, but I didn't know it. Actually, I didn't know it existed. And then I didn't know it existed the way that in exactly what I want. So right now I am in the beginning learner, baby phase of, just learning more about this so I can, of course, obtain a position as a product manager.
Cool. Thanks, Kevin. CJ, short background?
Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm based out of New York. What I've been doing as of recent for the last 4.5 years, more 5.5 years, I founded a startup and kind of grew the startup, pivoted a couple of times, and ultimately we were doing some enterprise SaaS in the smart building space. So we were doing a lot of software algorithms and hardware, and we got Microsoft as like a pilot kind of customer, and we opted not to raise funding to get them as like a marquee paying customer, and we mistimed everything, and we had to shutter the startup in April. And kind of thinking about where I wanted to go next, what I wanted to do, I made a short list of companies where I can kind of take my skills and really kind of test them, push them to the max. And it led me to, looking at kind of Facebook and a few others, and kind of echoing one of the sentiments from earlier. It's very academic, this process. It's very different than anything else I think you could do out there, which is interviewing for a product manager role. And yes, you have to practice a lot. And I found that there was very limited information online that can really prepare you to put you in the room. And when I stumbled on StellarPeers, actually a recommendation from someone else I was practicing with, I was like, wow, I wish I would have found this thing months ago. So I think that you really find an underserved market that's only going to grow. And I'm really happy that I've been allowed to join, and looking forward to hopefully being successful in interviewing, paying it back, paying it forward.
Oh, that's great, CJ. In fact, we're going to be announcing, maybe in a couple months, a mentorship program for all those people that got jobs after practicing with StellarPeers. Hopefully that will work, because I think a lot of the people in StellarPeers need help in how to.
That would be awesome.
All right, cool. Bhumi, your background.
Hi, so I'm a product manager here in London. Sorry, guys, it's super early.
I love that you're in London.
I know. Yeah, and I've been on StellarPeers for a while, so no Milena, we've worked a little bit. Great platform, and looking forward to practicing with any of you guys. Yeah.
Awesome, Bhumi. Hopefully we'll practice again. We'll let you know.
Yeah, cool.
All right, Aditi. Hi, welcome to StellarPeers.
Hi, this is my first time here at StellarPeers. Been active. I've been a product manager for the last 6 years at different industries, insurance, education. Now working for a gaming company in Palo Alto. Actively interviewing with all the big companies that some of you mentioned. So super excited to be here. I mean, this is the first time I'm getting into anything of this kind, even though I've been actively practicing on some of the other groups. So look forward to this.
Thank you. Welcome to StellarPeers, Aditi. And let's get on to the question right away. So this is a question that I got from Glassdoor, and it's about, I think it was asked in a Google interview. And the question is, how do you design a ticketing app? So let's start with writing first the question. How do you design ticketing up? Okay, so this is, of course, like all the questions that they ask is very, very open, they're big in scope. So first thing to ask is, ask clarifying questions. So this is sort of like the framework, okay? Ask clarifying questions. For example, well, what would you ask, for example?
I'd first of all like to clarify what a ticketing app actually means.
Okay,
because when I saw the question, I really didn't have it as an Eventbrite website that we currently have. My thought went completely different than what it is supposed to be. So that would be my initial clarify question. But the way I put it would be, okay, this is what my understanding is. Tell me if this is correct or not. That's how I'll ask it instead of, straight away saying, okay, I don't know what the ticketing app is.
Okay, keep that in your mind because we're going to go through that process. Right now, I just want to put the framework so we have sort of like a guide. And so you guys keep those questions in your head.
Yeah.
All right, so, and then after asking clarifying questions is, basically, this is very important. I find it's very important at the beginning of this type of design questions, all right, which is, what is going to be the business goal?
Yeah.
Okay, that's going to drive absolutely everything. This is not an app that doesn't have any competitors. It has a lot of competitors in this space once we clarify what it is. But for example, something like Ticketmaster, okay? So, think about what the goal of the business is. It could be, obviously to sell a lot of tickets, make a lot of revenue, but in addition to that, it could be, hey, to differentiate yourself, right? So business is very important, business goal. Then what is the user goal? Basically, in other words, what does the user want to get done? What problem does he want to solve? And there are different kinds of users, but that doesn't mean that they don't have the same goal, right? They want to buy a ticket to a concert, to an event or whatever. They want to get that done, right? So that's what they share, right? And probably without any hassles. We'll go through that. Then is the part of, okay, now what's, who are the users, right? They may have the same goal, but they might behave differently, when they go to buy a ticket, depending on their needs. So we're going to go through that. This is more about the behavior of the user.
Hey, Marilla, shouldn't users come before user goal?
Mm-hmm.
Shouldn't users come before user goal? Because usually you try to prioritize users as well, right?
I personally don't think so. I think for me, the user goal is what you want, the job to be done.
Okay.
And the job to be done here is to, hey, I want to buy a ticket, It could be to a sports event. Maybe I'm a sports fan. That goes in behavior, right? Or I may be a classical music fan like I am. And
Okay.
I buy a ticket for the symphony. However, we both, the sports fan and we want to buy a ticket, right?
Okay.
That's the job to be done.
Makes sense.
We want to do it without any hassle, right? And real fast. Okay, so, but the behaviors can be different, right? Me as a classical music person, I'm going to behave differently than the sports fan, for example, right? We may be looking for different types of experiences or things like that. All right, so then we go into the users, right? We describe, and then we prioritize, you need to prioritize your user. Pick one, right? because you cannot, for this exercise, you don't have all the time in the world. So you have to give a reasoning why you're going to start with that, right? With one type of user. And then you start looking at use cases, for that user, which is going to, the use cases basically is going to give you insights into, what are specific, needs that they have. Needs or desires, right? And finally, you start thinking about, okay, so let me think about a solution or solutions. You will also think about, prioritize these solutions. Think about, and you can think about trade-offs. If you have different solutions for one need, you can also think about trade-offs. Finally, wireframe, especially if this is a design question for a website, and then wrap up. So this is, one flow for this text is very long, right? And in these questions, they're probably going to ask you to go in the, you might not have all the time in the world, right? So you have to try to go fast into this. Something.
I have a question. So how can you prioritize the user without understanding the use cases? Because some of the use cases may be really valuable to solve for, whereas some may not be. So it's almost like 5 and 6 go hand in hand, right?
I don't agree.
Okay.
I think that when I think about the prior, for example, and something that I will look at this, for example, if I have somebody that is 30 years old and is going to go out all the time, like maybe 2-3 times a month, right? And that guy likes, maybe sports or this kind of a thing. He has certain kind of lifestyle. That to me is a much more profitable user than somebody that, hey, goes out every quarter, maybe to the symphony.
Yeah, exactly my point there. So you talked about the user behavior in order to prioritize the user. So in a way, you're talking about their needs and desires, right?
We're gonna talk. So the use cases could be, for example, let's say a super fan, okay, a sports fan. He doesn't care, where the team is playing or where a special sports person is playing. He's just gonna go there, okay, no matter what. Okay, so I'm going to design. I'm going to put a use case here where that person is a super fan.
Got it. Yeah, keep going. Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
All right. So, okay. So, yeah, we're going to see these details when we work with this, right?
Okay.
And I'm not saying that I'm 100% right? You might be right for certain situations.
Okay.
For this one, I don't know. And in general, this is the way I think it works best. But let's see. All right, so let's go and try to work on this, right? So let's start with asking clarifying questions. And who was it that, Ruturesh, do you have the questions or was it, no, Sri Krishna, right?
Oh, my question is very fundamental. I think now everyone must have the idea of what the app is.
Right. Okay, so.
Yeah, maybe we'll try to clarify if we want to scope it to certain kind of tickets or certain kind of events or but again, that question might come up later also when you are doing the user or customer segmentation.
Okay, so what kind of ticketing app? That's what you're asking.
Yeah.
Like what is it selling, right?
Yeah, what is it selling? Yeah.
Okay, so you were right. Like I would approach this problem like saying, you know what? Just to clarify, my idea of a ticketing app is something like Ticketmaster, or there are other types of websites where they sell only sports or only this or only that. It's for events, selling tickets for events. Is that what you have in mind?
Yeah.
So that's what I would ask too.
Yeah, because when I just searched it online on Google, the first thing I found was Eventbrite and some other things which are not I don't know if they sell tickets for concerts, but they are more like a private event that you want to invite your friends, or or a community event that you want to invite some people for the ticketing system that's online. But that is different from a ticketing app that we are discussing now, where you're buying tickets for a concert. You actually paid.
Yeah. So yeah, so they may tell you something different, right? But for this exercise, I think that what they mean is actually because it's more familiar with everybody. It's a ticketing app like Ticketmaster. Okay.
Yes.
So my answer to that would be, it's like, okay, build something for like Ticketmaster. But then the other question is, I would ask another question. You know what? There are different types of events, right? So there are sports events, there are concerts, there are, theater. These can even be movie theater, movie theaters. This is theaters for play, for plays. Movie theaters, it could be,
private events.
Arts events, it could be private events. It could be, these course museums. So lots of them, right? So I would say, do you have something in mind? Do you want me to focus on just particular ones, right? And here, they might actually tell you what they want you to focus on, or they may say, well, what do you think?
Yeah.
So if I were in that situation, I would say, you know what, if this is our first business, first design for this application, I would like to concentrate on just 2 or 1.
Yeah, I have another question which might give some clues to this question. Like, if this is part of an existing product and we want to just build our portfolio of products, and that would lead us to focusing on a certain types of events or certain types of ticketing that we want to do, right? Like if it is a standalone app that we are creating for the first time, then it's an open field, we have different choices. But if it is built by an existing company which has a certain mission, we would like to understand what that mission is, if they have anything, and see which one aligns more with either their mission or their existing group of users.
Part of existing, business.
Product suite or something like that.
Now, my gut feeling, is that this is just they're trying to see whether you think like a product manager, right? So they probably want to focus more on the empathy towards the user and less on your ability to be more business oriented.
Right.
I see.
So you're probably gonna say, hey, this is the first time we do this app. Okay, so it's just to make it very simple.
Okay, yeah.
And then what I would do, and for this exercise, for us to actually narrow it down, what I did is I selected these 2, sports and concerts. Okay. So maybe what I would do is say, hey, you know what? If this is an app and it's going to be for a city, like San Francisco, New York, LA, lots of sports fans,
Miami,
lots of concerts, Miami. I will focus on these 2, right? But that's just me. So you can take it a different way. But to put it with all this, I think it's going to be just too much for, I think they're going to allow you because they just want to see what's your thinking process from going from user needs to an actual product. Make sense?
Agreed.
Okay, so then we go into, all right, so we answer clarifying questions, then we go into business goal, and I would say, all right, if this is an app that we're defining for the first time and it's going to be for sports and concerts, this application, and I'm going to start with a website that is going to be responsive. The business goal should be to sell tickets, right? So, sell max number of tickets. right? So revenue. But at the same time, I don't want to be another ticket master. I want to provide a different experience, a much better experience for the user. So what I would put here is also, to be differentiated, a differentiated experience. That is much better than the competition. Any other goals that you think you would have if you were designing this in terms of the business?
Yeah, one thing. I mean, the question itself says it's an app, right? So I would always assume when somebody says app, it's a mobile app. So that's something I want to clarify, because you said it can also be a website. So that's something we want to restrict ourselves to, right?
That's true. Now, yes, I agree with you. And we can put it, let's make it, I actually built it as a website, but it can also be a mobile app.
Isn't it almost always, I mean, at least in the current context, whenever you're building some website, you would like to have an app, like,
not necessarily.
I know, not necessarily. I understand that, but
for this, yes,
you would definitely at some point in time would like to have an app as well.
Okay, let's go with the mobile.
Even if you're designing a website, you keep the mobile experience in mind.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you from the sense of keeping it mobile web as well as desktop like web. But if the acquisition tactics, how you design the product will be completely different if it's a mobile, if it's app only versus app and website. It makes a significant difference in terms of how you solve for the problem.
I think that what's going to happen is that, for any, business, especially these ticketing apps, you need to have both.
Yeah.
A website and a mobile app.
Yeah.
And they may say, hey, it's up to you. What do you want to design? Right? Or they may say, this is an app. Whatever you guys.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying we should not ask that question. I think we should ask that question. But instead of plainly asking it, okay, is it an app or a website? I think we should say, I feel like for an application like this, we need an app as well as a website, because we want people to buy tickets seamlessly using their mobile phones without having to go to a website. So because the experience, no matter how well you design your web application, will be very different compared to an app which is more native to the platform.
Yeah. And this will be important at the end, as Adi said, on the design part, right? It's they're gonna be very different.
Yeah, we should have the clarifying question. Yep.
I think that at the end you can say, hey, I want to design first the website, or I want to design first the app.
Yeah, I don't think we'll have time to do both in this.
No, you don't.
Let's do the app.
With the website, you have more space. That's why I chose the website.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so let's go into the user goal, okay?
No, let's do an app.
So now here, if you guys have read that book from this great guy, which is called, from Christensen, the guy that wrote the Innovator's Dilemma and all that stuff. So he has another book that's already 1.5 years old, so it's not that new. But it's about this theory of the jobs to be done.
Yeah.
Okay. And so what he says is like, hey, the way companies can be innovative in their products is by really empathizing with the user and find out what they really want to get done, And that doesn't mean a specific thing. It could also be, for example, hey, I just want to have a great experience, or I want to be happy. I want to, something like that. But you have to go and find out at the end, what is it that the user wants, right? And so that's what I meant by the user goal, which is at the end, the bottom line, what does the user want? Well, I want to, get a ticket to something fun, to something amazing, and to some event where I'm gonna have fun, just enjoy it, right? and I want no hassle. Let's get it done. Buying a ticket is no fun, right? You just want to like get the ticket, be done with it. You're welcome. So I think that that should be a short statement, right? But clearly, it sort of states what your design should do. It's like getting the event, the ticket, so that they have fun.
Quick question.
With no hassle.
I don't know if it will be an overloaded statement. In that single user goal, can we also sneak in explore and search or explore as a keyword so that, yeah.
I think that you will see that when we go through the use cases. Okay.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking whether that single statement goal, do you think should include that or not?
No, I think that should be part of the use cases, and we're going to go through that when we go to the journey.
Okay.
This should be really a very short statement that says this is what they want to get done. Okay, which means your solution has to provide something that they're going to remember, so they come back to your website. Okay. And buy the ticket for the next experience, right?
Okay.
And that will go into what you're kind of implying, Sri Krishna, which is look, if they want to have fun, let's say that they don't know what to do, they don't know what event to go. You better recommend to them something they're going to love. Okay, so that you're gonna see later, right?
Okay.
But this sort of like states from the get-go what are going to be your priorities with this design. Okay. So now let's talk about the users.
Hey Malina, before we move forward, just a quick question. In the jobs to be done thing, should it be like just one job, or should we think about 3-4 jobs as well? How is the approach usually?
Like if I were you, I would pick something that is sort of like a tagline. Okay.
Okay, more like a broader thing.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
So users, now here, okay, we're talking about the different behaviors, basically, with respect to buying tickets. And so I'm just gonna put a few, and you guys can add more. So I will put here, for example, the frequent event goer. Okay. So what does this guy do? Every weekend goes out, finds a ticket, or every 2 weekends, lots of friends, goes to events every weekend or every other weekend.
Do you think that would be too frequent for maybe a sports or a concert user?
Maybe. So maybe every other weekend. Yeah, or at least every month, but at least it's frequent.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And he goes out with friends, and basically that's what else does he have? Okay, and usually wants to do this, that's it, like 1 week or 2 weeks or more ahead of time.
Okay.
Because he knows he's going out.
Okay.
Or she. How about the spur of the moment guy or girl? Spur of the moment, or it could be a tourist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So spur of the moment is like, hey, I'm bored today. I want to go out tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't care what it is. I mean, I only care that I have fun, right? So wants to go out, once prioritizes, wants to go out today or maybe tomorrow. Okay. And obviously wants to have fun. right? Then what about the fanatic? Okay, you have like the fanatic. And this could be sports, or it could be concert, right? It's just sort of like the extreme users, right? What does he care about or she care about? Like, for example, me.
Seats.
Hmm?
Seats.
Seats. They will care, yeah, definitely about seats. But before the seats, you know, they will try to, you know, follow their heroes, right? Whoever their teams, or it could be artists.
Basically,
Whatever,
fan.
right? They want to know when and wherever they are going to be around. They're going to have a concert, right? Or sports event. So these guys are like willing to pay no matter how much, whatever, right? And they probably want to, some fanatics, they will want to have some VIP treatment.
Yes.
And get closer to their hero.
The seats.
Right? Price is not a problem. It's not a problem. All right, and then I put here families. Okay, for families it's a different story, right? They have to go in 3, 4, 5, right? So they want to see events that are like family oriented, right? And they probably, they go out maybe once a year, maybe twice a year, 3 times.
Maybe twice a year, max.
Twice, 3 times a year. Somebody's laughing?
Hello?
Yeah, who's that?
Yeah, I'm actually laughing at something else that just happened. I should have had it on mute. My apologies.
No problems. 3 times a year, and they want to probably, they want to buy in packages, or I don't know. They would prefer to have like a package deal or something like that. Okay.
They look for deals, right? They look for deals. They look for deals or discounts, coupons.
They look for deals, yeah. All right. Am I missing a user?
One kind of user you can think of as someone who likes to share his fan moments, or I don't know if we can put them in put that user need in the existing user categories.
I feel like when you think about the user, and this is something that's not very simple. Usually when you think about the different types of users, you want to differentiate it with respect to how they will use your product. Okay?
Yeah. So that's where I'm coming from. Like if you want to share your moments of the concert, of the performance that you attended, you need to have a different kind of requirement, right?
But what do they want to get done? Remember, they want to get a ticket, right?
Yeah.
Get a ticket to an event. That's at the high level. That's what your product is given, right? So I think what you're describing is a very specific thing within that experience that your product's gonna provide.
No. I'm talking about a persona. Like people do go to these events with for them, sharing is a big thing. I understand they do enjoy the concert. I'm talking about their persona itself. It's not just about enjoying the concert, but sharing it with people, or maybe.
But the question that I have for you, Sri Krishna, is how does that segmentation or persona will help design your website in a way that you sell more tickets?
Oh yeah, if you have that feature, like if you have that ability in your app, then people will come to your app.
Right.
Why? Because
I think you're talking more about
I think you're
solutions.
talking about the solution.
Yeah. So, Frikisha, when you think about the segmentation of your persona, really you need to think about what is the solution that you're giving to them. Which in this case, the main solution is selling the tickets and all the stuff. The sharing of somebody that wants to share will not go to a ticket. Will not buy a ticket.
I'm not saying his main intention is to share. I'm just saying people, as much as they enjoy, there are some people I have seen, this is based on my experience, it's not related to a concert or...
No, I totally agree with you. Yeah. But I don't think it's not going to help you design the website to maximize revenue.
I don't think I totally agree with that, but we can go ahead. I think that's fine. Because
Sorry, go ahead.
Aditi?
Sure,
yeah, so what about another persona I was thinking was, sorry to cut you off, Shri Krishna, but I had another train of thought. What about like couples or folks who are looking to date? Because they see this as an experience that they want to go together with a companion. It's slightly different from a family, but it's a persona that we haven't covered.
Like dating couples. And is there something specific in the way that, let's see, dating couples, they might find, they need a place to go, right? To go, an event to go, to share the moment.
Maybe they need a little bit more privacy, better seating.
Yeah.
Could location be an issue? Could location or distance to the venue be a...
Oh, yeah, that's, I wanted to talk about that. Look, if you look at the ticketing apps, what are the requirements, right? The main requirements for this usually it has to be close to you, right? You have to have an idea of when that event is happening, right? And the category. These three things are just like elementary, right? So I wouldn't put them as neat because they have to be there. That's the way to filter the events. Definitely location, location, time, and event type are just, I would say, these are filters, right? So to speak, and they are so elementary that they have to be there. Right?
And price, I don't know if you have to beat the price.
But that is part of the solution, right? Because look at what we put here, right? This event goer goes frequently, and the events 1 week or 2 weeks in advance. This guy is a spur of the moment, so they need to go today. So in a way, we are implying, right? Timing has to be there, obviously, right? And what else? Yes, if they're going to go in person, well, the place has to be close. So we're going to do that, right?
So can I talk about one user before we jump? We also need to focus on event owners, so people who are going to list their events and stuff. So that's a different persona.
Very good points.
That's a good point.
I totally forgot about that.
That was a good one.
Yeah. Event organizers.
Totally. Thank you, Bumi. So these are like business, I would say, not business, I wouldn't call it business, but event organizers.
This is a business model.
Event organizers, and that's critical. So yeah. So in the interview, you definitely need to mention these guys, right? But this ticketing app, is for the users to buy tickets. So maybe you'll say that up front and you say, hey, I'm thinking that this is going to be the front end mostly for the buyers of the tickets. Naturally, there has to be a back end way and another page for event organizers to provide their events. But my understanding is that you want me to focus on the users. Is that right? Right, but don't forget to mention this. All right, any other questions? We're gonna go into use cases.
What kind of possibly do, I don't know necessarily if, I know as far as events that age does play a part, like kids typically go to festivals more. So, but I don't really, I think age does play some type of significance to the user.
Yeah, so in that case, because we're not gonna have festivals, just concerts and sports, this is where, we start prioritizing, right?
Okay, got it. Okay.
Very good point, right? So, okay, so let's go to prioritization, right? This is for concerts.
One quick question though.
Yeah.
Location, you said, so location could be, so what do we mean by location? Like it's more, it's more about how close is the event versus people coming from out of town. I mean, where do we capture that?
From people coming out of town. So when we can see that right in the use cases. All I'm saying is that location is going to be an issue, definitely.
Yeah.
Right. So we're going to see in the use cases, because you're going into the design, right? So we're going to now start designing, okay, if I'm out of town and I come to San Francisco, but I want to see a baseball game, what do I do? Well, you have to look for it in San Francisco. Now, if you are somebody that is a fanatic and say, hey, I'm going to follow, some sports major figure, wherever he goes, but I live in San Francisco and he's going to all over the country, then how do I present that to me as the user, as the super fan? That goes into the design, right?
Yeah.
Location is an issue, but we're going to look at that in the use cases. All right, so let's look at use cases. All right, put that here. Delete this. Oh, I deleted this. It didn't take a photo. That's too bad, Madina. Okay, let me just take a photo, guys.
We can always take the screenshots of the video you're recording, right?
Oh yeah, that's true. Okay. All right, so now we're going to talk about use cases. Or actually, we're going to talk about the user first. So since this is for sports and for concerts, I would prioritize the frequent goer, perhaps the spur of the moment guy or tourist that comes into the city. And because this is more frequent, so and also I get more knowledge of this person as they buy more tickets, so I can provide them with a better, recommendation of where to go. The spur of the moment guy, he's gonna pay whatever because he's in San Francisco or New York for one day. He's gonna pay anything to have fun, right? The fanatic is also an important one, right? And maybe we can make a lot more money from these ones, but it's a smaller segment, right? So I think that this is a bigger segment, more frequent. This is also probably smaller than this, and this is smaller than this. This has bigger dollars, a smaller segment. This probably has, a good amount of dollars in frequent. So, but families, I wouldn't put families here. It wouldn't be my priority. Dating couples, that's an interesting one. That's an interesting one. It could be a differentiator. So I will consider this for the differentiation aspects. What are your thoughts, guys?
Fine with me.
All right. But if I were to prioritize, I would put this one first. And maybe the fanatic or maybe the tourist spur of the moment. Fanatic third, and then dating four. All right, and my criteria is frequency, how much I'm gonna pay, and volume of people. All right, let's go into use cases. Now for the use cases, okay, a way that I find it really good to think about this is in terms of the journey, in terms of the customer journey. And all of these guys are gonna go through a similar journey, okay, which is gonna, hey, what concert do I go? What sports event do I go? The other one is, once I decide that, I want to choose my seats, right? Then I need to pay. Then maybe I need to share this information with my friends.
So in your what, does it also include the time when?
I'm sorry?
In your what, does it also takes into
Yes.
account the when?
Right.
Okay. What and when?
Share info. Then I go to the event. Then I review, give my feedback, right? And the other one is I return next time. All right. So now I have an end-to-end kind of idea, right? And where should I, now we can work on use cases, starting, because this is what the user is doing at each stage.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So you prioritize the users, right? Are you building this for the only the top one, or this is sort of like what's the cutoff?
Yeah, right. So I'm going to build this in the way it is. I had time, but I don't think today we're going to have time. But what I did is if I were in the interview, I would say, hey, you know what? I want to design this for the first two because I think there are commonalities in them. My gut feeling is that there are commonalities and we can share, you know, the design can share. There are a lot of things in the design that can be targeted for both.
Got it.
I don't know yet, but you know, yeah, I will go into it.
Okay.
So let's start with the frequent user, and then once I have sort of like the journey, then I put the frequent user at the center of this brainstorming sort of map, and I will go step through step here. For example, when the user thinks about what event and when, you know, what does it go through his head? So I go to this website, right? I like to go out like every other weekend. Okay. My question is like, hey, what are the new shows or like sport events? You know, that are coming, you know, next week. That would be one thing that I would ask, okay? Because I know I want to go out next week.
What is the weather?
The weather?
Yeah.
Outside, you mean?
Yeah, weather outside.
Yeah.
We can't control that variable, so.
Yeah, maybe I put here and weather, right? If it's outside.
Yeah, it's about outside.
Now, another thing that I can ask is like, okay, any famous people, any popular, any famous artists coming? Sports person. You know, third is All right, with respect to when, is like, for example, you know, I'm flexible. I'm flexible in the time, so if I'm flexible, which day is better? It's better to go. You know, because, you know, maybe I think about cheaper. Maybe it's cheaper to go during the week. And now I'm going to, so what I'm doing is I'm looking at the what, and I'm thinking, okay, if I am that person, if I put myself in the shoes of somebody that goes out every weekend or every week, every other week, what is the first thing that I'm going to look? And I say, okay, I want to see what's happening next week, right? Then I want to see, hey, are there any popular events, the most trendy ones, you know, coming? Can I save money? You know, or is there a better day where there are not so many people, right? So I'm here on this stage. Then I'm gonna switch to the seat stage. So I want to fill out now with your suggestions. What would you think at each stage?
So can I add one more thing here? I don't know if it can be categorized as a price 0 or price 1, but would it be nice to show if some of your friends are going to an event? And
yeah,
that might not be super important for everyone, but it's like a developer feature.
Are my friends going?
Yeah.
Okay. What else? All right, so let's move on to seats. Okay. So if I'm gonna look at the seats, my question would be, what's the view like?
Seat map.
From the seat. Okay, and this can lead to innovative ideas, you know? It's like, hey, I'm gonna put you in that seat and I'm gonna show you how it looks like in a virtual reality way or whatever, right? In a real concert. Like a person like me that's so short, I wanna make sure that I can view something. So that's one question I will have. What's the view from the seats? So, and then another thing would be, hey, you know what? If I'm going with a group of friends, can I want to split ticket with friends? You know, the purchase of the ticket.
And in the seat map, you might. Oh, sorry, someone else speaking. So in the seat, do you want to include the price details as well, because different types of seatings will have different pricing? So are we assuming that we will include that in the seat map?
Yes. 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 Of course, price here is an issue, right? What's the price?
Because they have a very different pricing.
Yeah, I wanted to include here, you know, when I think about this, I'm thinking about what can lead to a differentiation, right? Definitely with Ticketmaster, for example, right?
Yeah.
So let's just.
I have an idea. So the assumption we are making here is you can see the seat that you want. You can choose the seat that you want to. What if it is something where you don't actually you as a customer cannot make that decision, like almost like a price line where you don't know which hotel you're going to get, but you know that there is a certain range in which you can.
That's an interesting thought, but that would lead to a different kind of need, right? So so what you're talking is about a solution.
Yeah. I think
you're looking for a specific problem.
Yeah.
So
I have a question.
Smart, right? That's a very smart idea, because imagine that you sell tickets in a bidding war, right?
Yeah.
You can bid for things. Not bad.
Melina, how about for like a frequent user? Sometimes with other platforms, you have a window of time you can cancel. Would that be a fair thing? Like, hey, I'm a frequent ticket buyer. I'm going to be able to cancel or sell them. Like if I find something else to do the day before.
Yeah, totally. I want to have an option to cancel.
Yeah,
yeah, flexibility with like canceling a refund.
Yep, I think that's a good user need.
That's a very, very good idea. And you know what? You can actually think of it like hedging, right? It's like, hey, just like the airline tickets, right?
Yeah.
Say you the security thing or whatever. Very good, very good. Any other bright ideas? Bright needs here?
So if we can, I mean, this is again not probably a very high priority requirement, but if it can somehow pull our calendar and see how busy we are, I mean, if that is not preoccupied with something else.
Oh, yes, a good idea. You know, it's like, here, does it fit in my calendar? What fits in my calendar?
Yeah, what fits in my calendar?
Very good. Awesome. So now here we're coming with ideas that I haven't seen, you know, needs that I haven't seen met in Ticketmaster, right? And that's what we're looking for here, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't want to design in your interview something that looks like Ticketmaster. That would be boring. Okay, so we have that, and I have more stuff, but let's go into like a quick wireframe, okay? I haven't gone into solutions here. Maybe we should go into solutions, but we're going to go into solutions by wireframing because this is a website.
Yeah. Well, one last thing, sorry.
Yes.
Social sharing.
Social sharing?
Yeah. That's it could be a need. Like
I wouldn't put that here, you know, because I mean, everybody has Facebook and all that stuff, right? Why would you use an app?
Not making this app as a social app, but sharing it on Facebook, like that you are going on for this event, maybe.
Sure, but you can do that already, right? That's not something new. Right?
Oh,
you have your phone, you can take a photo and share it, or you know, you can just put a button here in your website and say share that you're going, right? But that's not gonna open eyebrows, right?
Okay.
I mean, yeah. So and it's not
that's just a small feature.
Important need here. So let's go and try to think about how to design this, right? And when you think about the design, I think that I would sort of like start by saying, what are good design ideas here? First of all, I would say that images win, right, over everything. Images, video, any media, or media over text. Right? And probably not make it too crowded, right? But I think media over text is much better. So if you're thinking of let's say of the website, right? And let's think about this user. We haven't talked about the other user, but this particular user goes and says, hey, you know, I want to see what shows are up next week or this week. Any famous person that is coming for sports or, you know, concerts. Which day is better to go? Let's start with this. You know, you go into the website and you ask yourself, oh my God, what should I do? You know, what shows should I see? So,
hey, Melina, we saw the user journey. We prioritized the user that we are going to build for. We listed the needs.
mm-hmm.
Shouldn't we try to understand what the solution will be and prioritize before doing the wireframing?
Yeah, true. Absolutely. We should prioritize here. Good point. So let's prioritize, you know, the needs here. So here we have, and maybe we should actually write it down. Which needs, these are the needs. What needs should we prioritize? So we should needs prioritization. Okay. I will prioritize the need, that leads in terms of that has more impact to user, to the user goal. And what was the user goal?
Here, Malena?
Yeah.
I have a suggestion here. I've read this somewhere. So when we prioritize, there are 3 different categories that we can think of these requirements or user needs go into. One is basically must-haves. So you should definitely have them, no matter how silly you might find that. Without that, you cannot go take this app live. The other one is performance enhancers or performance improvements, and the third one is a delighter, which is where we want to differentiate from our competitors. So
Yeah.
I think that would be a good approach to categorize, and then within those groups again.
And the must-have, when you're saying the must-have, really, must-have is impact. Okay, so you need to have.
Yeah, it's all based on impact. Yeah, definitely.
Which is, hey, he wants to buy a ticket to great show. And so I think that this is sort of like the must-have that you're mentioning.
Yeah.
Definitely, I would put here, you say delight, which is good. I would put that as differentiation.
Yeah.
And what did you say the other one?
The other one is performance improvements, like
performance enhancement.
Experience very easy and smooth.
So this is actually from the lean product model. So what performance enhancer means is the more you have, the impact linearly increases, right? So for example, if it's a search, if you make the search faster, then the value to the user also linearly increases. Something like that.
That's an interesting one. Let's put that here, okay? Performance.
Or it could be if it takes like very few steps to actually buy a ticket.
Yeah.
That in this case will also be a performance enhancer.
I agree. But I think that this is, we're going to see this more in the solution, okay? Because we don't know what the solution looks like yet, right? So we are prioritizing first the needs that we're going to solve for.
Right.
Okay? So I wouldn't put this here yet, right? But we're looking at the need, and we're saying that this need of, for example, seeing what shows are out there. Yeah, I mean that's critical, right? So if you cannot see the shows that are out there in the next week, you cannot buy tickets, right? So I would put this, and then we also, so this is from the user's perspective, okay? User, but from the business perspective, we also need to prioritize those use cases that are going to bring us, are going to enable us to sell more tickets, right? And those hopefully are aligned, right? So this I would consider, if I put, this is high priority for the user. It's a use case really important, and for the business too, right? This has to be there, sort of like a must, that you were saying. Any famous artist or sports person, I think that this is also critical because it's another way for me to find events that I want to go. And usually you want to go to events that are like super hot, right? That everybody wants to go. So for me, this would be high. For the business too, you're most likely to sell tickets to events that everybody wants to go. Which day is better or cheaper to go on the weekday? I would put this as probably for the user, low, right? For this user, probably if he's going out a lot, he probably only has time during the weekend. He just goes to where, he has availability to go during his busy week. And for the business, I put this low also. What fits in my calendar? This is, I think this is high for the user, right? because it would be, it saves him time, right?
Yeah.
And for the business, I think it would be also high impact. You will sell more tickets, right? Perhaps lower than the other one, so I would put this medium. Are my friends going? I don't know. I don't think that this is critical. I think it's a low.
Yeah, that's not critical.
And low for the business. What's the view like from my seat?
I think it's high.
Medium.
I think it would be high because I don't want to be blocked. And for the business, it could be high too, if they are able to charge more to provide that visibility. I want to split the tickets with my friends. I don't think that's crucial for the user, and not for the business. I want to have an option to cancel. I think that's important.
High.
For the user, definitely.
Business is, I think, low.
For the business, I think it would be, even though you don't want people canceling,
Yeah.
it may drive.
Medium. I would say medium.
I would put medium. It's an expectation.
Because it will let more people come to your app.
I think so, if they have that option, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Good
also
customer experience.
Reselling is the huge. It plays a huge role in ticket apps as well. People want to be able to resell tickets.
Right.
But it's overall good customer experience and customer support.
I know, but people actually have legitimate careers off of buying tickets and reselling them.
Oh no, I'm not saying reselling. We're just focusing on this one thing: high versus medium versus low. I think for the business, it would be low because we don't want them to kind of have to absorb the fees, but it can be high or medium because it's good customer service and support, which it creates flexibility for the customer. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, maybe an option to resell is the way that the business can counter this, right?
What I'm
to
saying.
Mitigate it. Yeah, that could be a solution to kind of still provide the flexibility to the user to cancel, while at the same time provide a value where you can also offer the same platform for reselling or something like that. That could be a solution to counter some of this.
Okay.
So Kevin, what was your point? Sorry, I couldn't get it.
Because I know, like, the option, I know for like a business, and just for, because, well, I go to a lot of events. I don't even think a company would even entertain the ability for a user to cancel a day or two before. But I think that's why they offer the resale. And then sometimes they'll even have like a private company where you can have another company resell your tickets, for a small fee. But I've just never seen that before. I mean, as a user, I would love it. But it's the same thing when you fly on airlines. Why sometimes when you cancel, the cancellation fee is sometimes higher than the ticket.
Yeah.
Probably just one more thing to highlight during the interview would be there are some legal obligations to not to resell the tickets, because most of the times when you book it through an app, you're supposed to not resell. It's written right there. So it's not that I'm saying it's always there or it's there or not. It's just something to highlight to the interviewer that you have considered that possibility.
I think, guys, when we go through the solution, we're going to prioritize the solutions, right? And one of the things that is important to see is whether it's feasible from the business perspective, right? So maybe it might not be feasible for the business to do this. Certainly good for the user, right? But it might not be feasible business-wise. Right? So
yeah, I think that's somewhere that's where we can consider the cost.
Yeah, right. So anyway, so based on this, right, I would think of prioritizing this one here, this one here, and this one here, okay? So quickly, now we're going to go into solutions, right? Now the way I'm doing this solution is by actually wireframing it. And one thought that I had was like, well, if I want to see, and this is shared by, I think, by all the users, is they want to see what shows are happening this week or next week, and are there any famous people coming? So I would think that at the center, I would put here sort of like a video, sort of like a carousel. and things come of the things that are happening in terms of sports and concerts today. And maybe it goes back into the week like this, so people can see what's quickly, what is happening in the time, in the short horizon. And then here, we have sports and we have concerts. So I would put a column for sports events here and a column for concerts. Definitely, somewhere here we need to put the location, what state you're in, city, right? Because the events that you show here should be related to where you are, right? And then I will put here, and I was designing this for the frequent and for the spur of the moment guy. For the spur of the moment guy, this part would be important today. What events are going on today? And I will put here pictures and stuff like that.
Hey Malena. Yeah. Sorry to go back to the user needs. Do you think having the ability to show the user reviews or comments for these events would be any valuable in this specific context?
Yes, and the thing is that we only had enough time today to go through here and talk about these use cases, right?
I see.
What you're saying is here, and certainly that should be something. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Okay, yeah, thanks.
So I will put here today, and then I will put here tomorrow, events, and then I will put here next week and other weeks, next week and future. So, this takes care of this. I go in here to the webpage. I immediately see the sports and I see concerts. And I see, okay, I am the week person. So I look at this and what's going on the week, either here or here, through time. And then in the center, have more stuff like I will put here the picture of the event and the date, because pictures attract more people according to time, right? Here in time order. And then for the person so this takes care of like the spur of the moment guy, the frequent guy, and I will put here a calendar type, and this is just for in general, like somebody that knows exactly when they want to go and where they want to go. So maybe something that selects here, the event, they can enter it, maybe the time, they can enter it. Maybe they have a calendar here where they pick the calendar and this changes. Pick a date and this changes. I haven't talked about these other things, and I think these are great ideas that should be actually designed in this webpage, of having the option to cancel as well as what fits in my calendar. That would be great.
Quick question. Do you have desktop in mind when you are putting this wireframe, or is it the same thing that
yes, that's true. I'm designing here a website, right?
Yeah.
So the app would look totally different.
Yeah. Okay. Like the mobile website also, like we need to take into account which ones we should be displaying, where the other ones will be like a drop down or some other menu.
Yeah, I mean, you have to think about, probably for a mobile app design, these have to go in some accordion type of a thing.
Yeah.
So maybe you will have a tab, right? Usually you will have here, and you have tabs here to see them all. So I will put here concerts, I will put here sports, right? And this will show up here, what events are happening, and maybe you have a calendar that changes what is shown here, right? So something like that. But anyway, this is a very long question. You know, we cannot finish this in the amount of time that we have here. But the idea is, you know, to sort of go, I think that the meat of this question really is to understand who the users are, how different they are in their behaviors of buying tickets, right? When, why are they buying the ticket, for which occasions, whatever. Then go through the journey map, which all of them have to do. And then for each user, you find their needs according to this journey map, not for each user, but the ones that you prioritize, right? And then you go through the use cases, prioritize them, and then come up with a wireframe that actually meets your prioritized use cases. Yeah, definitely this is not doable in just a few minutes. But I think what they're trying to see is whether you can actually come up with some idea that meets some of the user's needs.
So let's say if the same question is asked again, what do you think we should filter out of these? What should we be focusing on? Sorry.
Whoa.
That was
That hurt.
Did anyone understand what Shri Krishna wanted to say?
That was a pain.
So much noise.
Shri Krishna, I'm muting you because there's something wrong with your microphone. Anyways, what do you guys think?
How do you usually wrap up, right? Let's say that we went through this, we came up with a couple of good solutions. How do you close it?
Oh, how do you close it? Well, you know, you would say, try to be very fast on this one. You know, I would start by saying, well, we started with the problem of designing a solution for the ticketing application. I discovered that, you know, the main users for this would be the frequent user and the spur of the moment user, because the frequent user, you know, buys more tickets more frequently, etc. And then find out based on their user needs that the key parts of the design that would meet the most important needs are, you know, these solutions. And then you can say, you know, there are other types of users that also could be served with different features, but these are the ones that I would prioritize on a first pass.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe, you know, test that first, you know, with those users, see whether, you know, revenue is increasing, ticket sales is increasing for those type of users. That's another thing, you know, I didn't talk about metrics here, but that's really important.
Mm-hmm.
So they will ask you, well, how are you going to make sure that your solution actually is successful or not, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what I would do is I would segment my users, and then I would put some metrics in there to find out, you know, how many tickets are they buying, you know, and what else. That would tell you that the sales revenue, right, that they are doing, and the frequency which they're buying, and which features they're using the most, you know, the ones that you thought, you know, were the important ones.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions?
No.
This was great. Thank you so much for doing this.
All right, guys.
Next meeting.
See you next time.
Yeah, see you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Malina. Thank you.
Bye-bye.